Oh, okay. Thanks. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Edge. I'll be presenting service this morning with Andie Elwazani. Tina Jones and Steve Israel are serving as our technical directors, and Ted Goldman is our music director. Yay. Please be aware that we are recording the service and it will be posted on our YouTube page. For privacy, we do pause the recording during joys and concerns. Also, at the end of the service, after we extinguish the chalice, we will be having announcements. I'm going to give it a second. For those at home, we got a few coming in, just going to let them get settled. Oh, no, no, no. We join together this morning to seek justice, equality, and fairness in the world. Our hearts are touched by the human need we feel around us, whether far away or within reach of our hands. We come here to be together because this is how we believe our lives are best lived. In questioning and in conversation, in compassion and in service, in gratitude and in joy, in companionship and in love. It is good to be together with you this morning. If this is your first service at MVUC, and it looks like we do have some visitors here today, please note that we are a diverse group with varying interests and beliefs, and our services are varied in format, tone, and topic. We encourage you to attend or view several services to gain a good understanding of our congregation. Also, please feel free to complete one of the blue information cards located in the back pockets on the seats so that we can learn about you and answer any questions you have. Thank you very much, Megan. Please leave completed cards at the assistance table at the back of the sanctuary. If you'd like to receive our weekly email newsletter, which is the best way to keep up on current events at MVUC, please email us at news, that's N-E-W-S, at mvuc.org. Now, please take a moment to think of all your friends at MVUC, greet them here in person, or with a comment in the chat box. Let us support one another. We have a nice enthusiastic crowd. Let's keep that energy going. The chalice will be lit today by Robin Perry. Yay. Please join me in reading these words by Adam Slate for the lighting of the chalice. They appear as a comment in the chat box or in our slideshow. When the great mosaic of humanity is treated with respect and dignity, when no person is threatened by hunger or war, when we have extended hospitality to the stranger and tended to the sick, when equity and justice reign everywhere, then we shall all be free. We light this flame to hold that moment in our spirit and in our minds until we can make it real. I appreciate how Robin did that, just timed it perfectly for dramatic effect. Well done. And for our first musical selection, I will now hand things over to Ted.
This is number 134 in our hymnals if you want to look at the music. Otherwise, you can just see the lyrics there. I'll walk us through how it sounds anyway. I don't think it's a familiar one. So here's just how it sounds. Here's the first two lines. It breaks into top two lines, bottom two lines, and it repeats that back and forth. So the top two lines sound like this. Those are the top two lines. Our world is one world, what touches one affects us all. And that's always the same for each verse. The second part goes, those are the second two lines, which are the ones that always change each time. And it's really short, so let's just do all four verses since each one only lasts a few seconds. This is, our world is one world. Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about the clouds that cover us. The rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate we make. A bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, who stand or fall. Last one. Our world is one world, just like a ship that bears us all, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our hearts can hear a different call. And now we sing our kids out. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
That was a very efficient herding of the cats on the way out of here. Our opening words today are adapted from Del Mulhern. In 2009, Mulhern created a transgender rite of passage ceremony to help show community support for individuals and to reassert our larger commitments to understanding and justice. The rite begins, we come together today to celebrate, honor, hold, and support your new life. We recognize the complexity that is gender, while also recognizing the complexity that goes into living a life that openly and honestly challenges the simplicity of our culturally imposed binary gender system. It takes bravery to choose to walk this path regardless of whether gender is born or chosen. We remain a culture reactive to fear of the unknown and the different. We continue to see a rise in transphobic hate crimes. These cowardly acts demonstrate the need for greater activism, outreach, and education. This also demonstrates the need for a greater community of supportive allies for our transgender, genderqueer, intersex, and gender nonconforming communities. This is why we are here today. We are here today in demonstration of our commitment to you. We are here with a promise to educate ourselves about your struggles, to ask the questions we need to ask, to better understand and open our minds. We are dedicated to being better allies in our communities, both personally and politically. But most importantly, we are here as your family. We promise to love you and act as part of your support system. We promise to never claim to know what it is like to go through your personal struggles, but will always be ready with a hug and a listening ear. And with that, it is my pleasure to bring up our speaker today, Andie Elwazani.
Hi. My name is Andelus, also Andie. Both of those are okay to use for me. I use they, them pronouns. And one second, I'm going to take a drink of water. Some words that I use to describe my experience of gender are genderqueer, non-binary, and gender fluid. I'm here today to open and I guess kind of continue a conversation surrounding the experience of gender and its expression. I believe that gender is something to experience rather than to be. The experience of gender is unique to every person and has no rules. Throughout today's talk, I may be using the term trans and non-binary as an umbrella term to refer to those who identify with an experience of gender that is outside of societal expectations appointed by assignment at birth. So to start, I compiled some terms and their definitions. The definitions to these terms can vary depending on who you ask, where you get them from, but based on my own experiences and what I found and then using my own words and stuff, I compiled these. So these are just some terms. There are so many more that you could learn about, but yeah. So first, I want to talk about the difference between sex and gender. So sex has been assigned at birth based upon perceived biological and physiological characteristics, such as chromosomes, hormones, and sex organs. And gender, gender, I think, is beyond definition, but in a way to kind of understand the difference a little bit, I kind of put a definition to it, which is, gender is societally constructed characteristics of individuals and their perceived behaviors. So a lot of times in our society, people believe that there's like man and woman as two genders, though what we're going to get into today is that those are not the only two genders, but there have been a lot of perceived expectations based on how people perceive individuals and what they perceive their gender to be, and what they expect people to look like, act like, dress like, etc. So cisgender is an experience of gender that matches the perceived expectations based on the sex marker at birth. So if you were born with an F on your birth certificate marking you female, and you generally identify as a woman and experience gender as a woman, you would be cisgender. And vice versa, for if you have an M on your birth certificate and you experience gender in alignment with what is perceived as man. Transgender can be an umbrella term for people who feel their experience of gender is not matched with the perceived expectations based on their sex at birth. Some people who are non-binary or identify as other gender identities also identify as transgender, and some don't. For example, I don't necessarily call myself transgender. I don't identify big with trans, the label, but if someone's like, are you trans? I'm like, I guess I kind of am, but that's not one that I like really use to describe myself. Intersex is being born with any combination outside of what is perceived as the binary male and female anatomy. The gender binary is the limiting belief that there are two experiences of gender, which are man and woman. FTM is an acronym that people in the trans community use as to mean female to male, meaning they're female to male transgender. And MTF is male to female. AFAB, AFAB, but we pronounce it AFAB, is assigned female at birth. And AMAB is assigned male at birth. Non-binary, experiencing gender in a way that is outside of the binary of woman and man. Gender fluid, an experience of gender which is fluid through time and is not fixed. Gender queer, an experience of gender outside of the gender binary. So a lot of these can kind of sound similar, and the thing about the experience of gender is that it, as I said, is completely personal and there's no rules to it. So some people like one word more than the other for whatever reason. Some people like using multiple words for them, and some people don't like identifying as anything at all, and that's also perfect. Agender is an experience of the lack of gender or having no gender. Bigender is the experience of having two genders at once. Pangender is the experience of having all genders at once. And two-spirit is a concept present in many indigenous nations, and each nation has its own concept of two-spirit, which is rooted in their specific spiritual beliefs. And as of 2018, the Two-Spirit Society of Denver offers the following definition. Two-spirit refers to another gender role believed to be common among most, if not all, First People of Turtle Island, which we now know as North America. It's one that had a proper and accepted place within Native societies, and it was this acceptance was rooted in the spiritual teachings that say all life is sacred. And the two-spirit people were considered divine and sacred, and they were highly regarded. They were often healers, medicine people, shamans, etc. Next, I compiled some examples of some different pronouns that people use. The ones you may be most familiar with are she, her, and hers, and he, him, and his, and also possibly they, them, theirs. But there's a subset of pronouns which are called neopronouns, and these are absolutely not even close to all of them. I just wanted to give you a little flavor of them. There's so many pronouns, it's crazy. So so here's how some of those would work. I have them laid out here for the subjective, objective, possessive, possessive pronoun, and reflective. So the the way that we use she, her pronouns would be like, she went to the store and got herself a jacket. This is her jacket, and it fits her well. The jacket is hers. And for he, him, it would be, he went to the store and got himself a jacket. This is his jacket, and it fits him well. The jacket is his. And for they, them, we would have, they went to the store and got themselves a jacket. This is their jacket, and it fits them well. The jacket is theirs. And then we get into a few neo-pronouns. The next pronouns I'm going to be explaining about are fey, fair, fairs pronouns. And the way to use this in this sentence would be, Faye went to the store and got fair self a jacket. This is fair jacket, and it fits fair well. The jacket is fair's. And then there is Z, them, which is Z went to the store and got themself a jacket. This is their jacket, and it fits them well. The jacket is theirs. And another one would be its. It went to the store and got itself a jacket. This is its jacket, and it fits it well. The jacket is its. And so next, I am going to talk about some ways that society can be more inclusive to trans and non-binary people. One thing that's really helpful is giving your pronouns when you introduce yourself. So for example, I would say,
could you explain who the FAE and XE refers to? What kind of, I don't understand who they, in the description of non-binary, who these two pronouns refer to, what
so anybody,
group of people?
yeah, so anyone can use any pronouns they want. It's really just about personal experience and some people use multiple pronouns. It's generally would be accepted as probably a type of a non-binary identity that would use these pronouns. Sometimes I know that fey, fair specifically can sometimes be more linked to like femininity, but also it doesn't have to be because anyone can use anything. I know that if you're not used to these things, it can kind of feel confusing, but basically gender is literally whatever people want it to be. Okay, thank you. So we can give our pronouns when we introduce ourselves with our name. You can say, I'm Andelus, and I use they, them pronouns. Or you could say, I'm Sarah, and I use she, her pronouns, or anything like that. And it is helpful because it sets the precedent that you're open to experience people giving their pronouns, and that's like a conversation. And also, it's also helpful to ask the people when you're meeting them if they're comfortable sharing their pronouns. Also, signing your pronouns next to signatures on emails is helpful, just at the end next to your name. And having your pronouns next to your name on social media is helpful as well. And it's helpful to not assume the pronouns of strangers. If you are talking about someone you don't know, like maybe that you see, don't assume because of the way they look to you that they use certain pronouns. And a safe pronoun to use generally for someone you don't know that you're talking about theoretically is they, them. So, and it's also helpful to not use words like man and woman to describe people you don't know as well. And in general, I believe using language like man and woman and girl and boy isn't really ideal or helpful in general, but especially when talking about people you don't know. It's helpful to use inclusive language. For example, if you're talking about someone you don't know, you could say that person, or I met someone. And again, like I said, using they, them pronouns for people you don't know is really helpful. And it's important to recognize that clothing, jewelry, makeup, and anything that can be used to decorate a person is genderless. Nothing has a gender. It is all has been like prescribed by society, but that actually has no meaning and we can just disregard it completely. Because in many different societies and throughout different times, like different types of clothing and things have represented different types of genders. Like men would wear dresses in certain time periods in certain places. And so it's like anyone just can wear whatever they want, and that shouldn't be an assumption of their gender. Also, bodies are genderless as well. So yeah, I think that's self-explanatory. And next, I'm so blessed to have done a little Q&A with some of my trans and non-binary friends. I sent them each some prompts, 5 prompts, and had them, I said they could answer whatever they wanted from it, or they could also add anything else they wanted. So now I'm going to share that. So the first prompt was name, pronouns, and gender identity, if applicable, because as I said, some people don't identify as anything. And I also gave them the option to keep it anonymous. And so my first friend, his name is Rue, and they use they, he pronouns. And he identifies, he said, somewhere in the transmasc, non-binary, trans man area. And transmasc means trans masculine. So trans in the general masculine energy area, but you may not necessarily be what people would consider like I'm not identifying as a man. And the second question I asked was, what would you say to those who want to learn more or gain deeper understanding about trans and non-binary people and identities? And Rue said, I think it's important to recognize that not everything can be fully understood, at least right away. If it's outside of your own personal experience, it's easy to dismiss something because you don't understand it. But if it's out there, it's important to somebody. I think it's helpful to acknowledge you can not 100% empathize with something or understand that facet of something and continue learning further now, rather than getting stuck on that thing that doesn't quite click. I'm thinking of things like people saying they don't understand neopronouns or singular they, them, or don't get non-binary genders, who just stop trying to learn because that bit or some other detail isn't clicking. Sometimes you have to intake more in-depth information, stories, etc., for the fundamentals to click. Learning about trans and genderqueer people in other areas or more overarching information eventually will help with something that feels like a sticking point. And my next question was, is there anything you feel called to share about your experience with gender? And they said, gender is such a personal thing and yet so public. It's hard to sort out what you personally want versus how you want to be treated, I think. I think way more than I want to about how I'm perceived day to day. It's really uncomfortable and stops me from doing things I want to do, like wear an occasional lipstick or overdo it on jewelry, because I'm honestly scared for my safety. I'm nearly 2 years on hormones, and I pass often enough that I don't want to risk outing myself, which sucks, because I feel like I'm disrespecting that still very present non-binary part of myself. When I first started T, that means testosterone, a coworker asked me when I was going to go all the way, referencing he, him pronouns exclusively, binary clothing only, etc., because they thought non-binary was a stop on the way to man, which it wasn't. I still am non-binary, but my presentation has shifted purely from a not calling attention to myself standpoint. And my next question was, how can we create safer and more inclusive spaces for trans and non-binary people? And he said, general landscape of the country does not feel safe in general for trans folks right now. So preemptively being in one of the safer states helps. But honestly, getting a precedent for offering your name and pronouns when you introduce yourself makes a big difference in how I feel in a space. Also, not having gendered guidelines for whatever thing. having gender-neutral bathrooms, having multiple uniform combination options if it's a uniform situation. Example, have everyone dress in formal black without dictating skirts versus pants, jackets versus dresses, etc. And my last question was, how do the pronouns you use relate to your experience of gender and its expression? And they said, when I first came out, I used they, them exclusively, but I started liking he, him on occasion for flavor, in a way. At the time, I considered myself pretty strictly non-binary, while now I've ventured into accepting more man-boy aligned language for myself. I still kept they first in the they, he, when I feel like it's a safe place to offer both, because I am still non-binary, and that's important to me. But there's more masculine identity that came out when I gave myself the room to be trans-masculine without being the epitome of masculine, if that makes sense. However, anyone who assumes he, him, I let them keep that assumption, patrons at work or strangers in public, whatever, out of both a desire for simplicity and safety and comfort. Also, honestly, middle-aged men patrons at my workplace are a lot more respectful to me with my current presentation and now that my voice has dropped than they were 2 years ago when I was more androgynous/femme-leaning. It makes my job easier, but consciously is very off-putting. And next, I asked another one of my friends these same questions. And so the first answer for name, pronouns, and gender identity was, my name is Corey. I use they, them, their pronouns, and I identify as non-binary. And my second question of what they would say to those who want to learn more about identities in the trans and non-binary realm was, I think it's a great idea for all to learn more about trans and non-binary identities. For those who may be struggling with their own gender identities, it can be very hard to find themselves if poorly educated and need more guidance. For those who aren't questioning, whether they would like to learn or not, I believe any kind of knowledge on the subject would be efficient. Media targets talk on sexuality so much more than gender to where a lot of people believe we only have two genders, male and female, but that just isn't true. For time's sake, I'm not going to read all of Corey's answers because I have some more people that I would also like to include in this. Yes, next, a friend of mine who would like to stay anonymous gave some answers as well. For question 1, they said, I'd like to stay anonymous, but my pronouns are they, them, and the word I like to use to describe my gender identity is genderqueer. To me, queer is about not only not fitting within norms and expectations, but actively working to loosen those norms and expectations so everyone is more comfortable with themselves. I've used a little food allegory to explain my gender before, and hopefully it's helpful here. It's like spaghetti noodles, but with the mac and cheese type of cheese. Is it spaghetti or is it mac and cheese? Neither, but also kind of both. It's delicious, that's all. Trying to put it into a box of one or the other is kind of silly in this example because obviously the answer is, it's delicious. Who cares what box it's in? To me, gender boxes feel just as silly. I don't fit neatly in either box. I like to do my makeup, I want top surgery, I wear skirts and dresses sometimes, I wear my brother's clothes, I wear my mother's clothes. And for the second question about how we can make spaces more inclusive and safe for trans and non-binary people, they said, oh, no, that's not the question. This one was if people want to learn more about, what would you say to people who want to learn more about it? If someone wants to learn more, first of all, I'd thank them. There's no gold medal for being a decent person, but you can at least get a high five, I think. This thought experiment might be helpful to you. And they included that they're writing it with dramatic pauses in between sentences. So I invite you, if you would like to take part in this, go ahead, and if you don't, that's okay too. You can close your eyes. Think back to pre-puberty. What did you do with all that time? What did you feel? Do you remember? Did your friends go through puberty before you, or were you the first? What was that experience like? Now, in the midst of all of those feelings, you have the wrong puberty. If you were raised a boy, you now have growing breasts. If you were raised a girl, you now have a growing penis and a deepening voice. You know something is off about this. It doesn't feel right, even if you were expecting it. But your parents go on as if nothing's wrong. Your friends go on as if nothing's wrong, oblivious to your opposite experience. Everyone's telling you how grown you look as the wrong gender, despite who you know you are. Imagine the discomfort. Imagine the alienation. Imagine the dysphoria. As you grow, these uncomfortable physical changes grow with you. Was that uncomfortable to imagine? I'm hoping you were immersed enough to experience discomfort selfishly. This is the experience of me, and probably a lot of the trans and non-binary people you know. I hope this deepens your understanding. In your day-to-day life, critically examine how gender changes your interactions with people. If you find time, journal. How would you have treated that waiter differently if they were the opposite sex? What about your doctor? What about your friend? To get deeper, what was your childhood home like? Would it have been different if you were born the opposite sex? Would you be different? Or would you be the same person at your core? Would you have received the same love from others, from yourself? Would you have the same opportunities? Where would you be in life now at your current age? Just going about your day with open curiosity, beginner's mind, as my Zen Buddhism practice calls it, can change so much. Approach things as if you know nothing, and you will learn so much. Don't let preconceptions run your life. And then next, I asked about their experience with gender, and they said, my experience with gender, oof. It's been rough, but I love it. Wouldn't have it any other way. Gender is like Play-Doh for me. Fun to play with, not to eat. Internalize. Some people want that structure and expectation in their lives, and that's cool. I just want that choice to be ours as individuals instead of having things handed to us that maybe don't fit. I get this question a lot. Aren't you uncomfortable in your body? Isn't transness discouraging discomfort in your body? I thought you should love your body. I do love my body. Honestly, probably more than a person without dysphoria could. Despite this discomfort I feel, I know that isn't my body's fault and treat it with care and respect. And where do we get the idea that trans people are the only people not comfortable in their bodies? Cisgender people receive about 3 times as many gender-affirming care treatments, AKA the same things trans people want and have, per year in the US. Then there are trans people in the whole country. That was all one sentence, by the way. Okay. Countless people work out to look better, get surgery to look better, do makeup, hair, nails, or even just get new clothes to look better. We all want to look the way we feel on the inside. That doesn't mean trans people hate themselves. It means we know what we want from life, joy. And then they responded to the last one about creating safer and more inclusive spaces, saying, creating safe and inclusive spaces. This one is easy for cis folks and can change everything for trans folks. Put your pronouns everywhere you have your name. Social media, email signature, yes, even the work one. When you do introductions, say your name and pronouns, even if nobody asks you. This makes trans and NB folks know you're safe, and also makes it so transphobes can't assume anyone with pronouns is trans. Ask people their pronouns after you say yours if they're comfortable sharing. This one seems counterintuitive, but don't apologize if you misgender someone. Just plug the correct pronoun in the sentence, whether you remember or someone corrects you, and move on. The next step is asking trans and non-binary folks who you should correct or if you should correct other people. If they ask you to correct people, follow through on that. We're all learning how to love each other better every day. So ask your friends how to love them best, and don't stress too much about it. Well, I have some others, but I think for time's sake, I am now going to share a little poem that I wrote about my experience with gender. I am the sea, the breeze that swirls the trees. I am them, and her too. He is me, and it as well. I am the forest where fairies dance with glee. Open and ever-loving, I am always and never me. Me is theoretical, as is you and them and we. All there is loving, and love is all there be. Is there sense in the making? Release the sense of sense. Embrace the sense of self. The self is an illusion. All there is love. And all the love is one. Thank you.
And now I will pass things over to Ted for our next musical selection.
This one's probably also on the projector, maybe? Yes, great. Yeah, so, Oh, What a Piece of Work We Are seems an appropriate title for all of us. I'll play through once so you get the tune, and then you can sing along. Harmony, whoever's singing harmony.
Don't be surprised, we have talented people here. All right, now we pass our offertory basket. Visitors, we welcome you to donate cash or via our PayPal link using the QR code in the basket. Please note that what predominantly supports MVUUC are annual pledges by our members or friends. The yellow cards located in the pockets on the back of the chairs are used to indicate the support and can be placed in the offertory basket. We encourage anyone that believes in our mission to consider becoming a member and to pledge support. Please email news@mvuuc.org if you're interested in learning about the benefits of being a member and how to pledge. Now is the time for sharing of joys, concerns, and milestones. Tina, please stop recording at this time. If you would like to share a joy or concern, Our closing words today are from Kin Wildzewski, "The wonder and blessing that you are." Henri Nouwen said that to give someone a blessing is the most significant affirmation we can offer. You have come with stardust in your hair, with the rush of planets in your blood, your heart beating out the seasons of eternity, with a shining in your eyes like the sunlight. As you stand here before this congregation, may it be known that we count you among our blessings. When you were young, there were assumptions made about you. You were given a name, boxes, boundaries. You were called by words that were not right. In your own true growing, you discovered that you were given, what you were given was not what you could keep. You had to try on new names, new words, new ways to be called, and you attended to, felt how your spirit responded. Let it be known that though you did not feel whole, you were still holy. Let it be known that this journey of resistance, of discovery, of alignment has been a sacred one. But now, whatever boundaries you have been given that have stifled your spirit, that have made you question your place in the world, may you be released from these. May you feel the freedom to stretch fully into your most true self. And may you witness all who love you call you by the words and name that affirm the wonder and blessing that you are, that you have always been. Please join me in reading the words from Deborah Burrell for extinguishing our chalice that can be found in the order of service or in the Zoom chat box. We have basked in the warmth and beauty of this flame and this community. As the chalice flame is extinguished, let us carry its glow within. Let us kindle new sparks within these walls and beyond. Now is the time for announcements. Before I ask if we have any, I can tell you that David Love has reached out and asked that if anyone is interested in volunteering with RE and especially helping with any infants that we have, he's trying to do more scheduling with the sign up, like potentially months in advance, so that we have everyone on a good schedule and there's no confusion as to who's covering what. He's got, I think, 3 volunteers so far, and ideally would love 2 more. So if anyone is interested in doing that so that we can get as many adults in there, have as much coverage as possible, and not put it all on 1 or 2 people, please contact David after service today. Tina, Lisa, do we have any other announcements? Or Megan, do we have any other announcements? Megan. I had a hunch.
Yeah. Just really quick announcements. Number 1, I was going to say this during Joys and Concerns, but it's really more of an announcement. For folks that don't know, we are now hosting a homeschool co-op once a week. And it's really great because this co-op is for primarily neurodivergent kids. It's a very pro-LGBTQ, pro-science group. They align very well with our values, and they had their first day on Wednesday, and it seemed to go really well. So they will be here every Wednesday, and I just wanted to let people know, give them a heads up that other folks are going to be using the building on a regular basis. But here's hoping that goes well. And then, of course, my perpetual announcement: go visit the garden. There's a lot of tomatoes out there, so if you like tomatoes, I'm happy to show you around, but feel free to just let yourselves in and pick whatever looks right. Thanks.
All right, sort yourselves out.
Hi, we actually have fellowship things now. Yay! Okay, so game night this upcoming Saturday already, which is crazy to think that next Saturday is September 23rd. Like, that's really weird. But September 23rd, 5 p.m. game night. It's happening. It'll be here. Also, don't forget about the chili cook-off. It's going to be awesome. And in very UU fashion, it's at the same day that we're having a service about animal rights. So that's very UU, and I love that. You can do vegetarian or vegan options, you know, but look on the newsletter. There's a flyer out in the sanctuary. There's a QR code that you can scan with your phone to sign up on a Google form, or it's in the newsletter, it's on Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And then,
Say more about the chili?
yes, would you like to?
All right, so it's a chili cook-off, so it's a competition, and so we need your chili, and we also need your voting to, so we're going to split the ticket sales into half will be proceeds to MBUUC, and the other half will be prizes for the winners. So get your chili in, there's a registration form, and the deadline to register is next Sunday at the end of the day. So you have like 7.5 days to figure out what chili you're gonna make and register. So like Robin said, one way you can find the link to register is in the newsletter, and there's also a QR code on the bulletin board over the coffee maker. We have fellowship stuff there now, so keep an eye on the bulletin board, or you can just ask one of us and we can text you the link. It's a Google form, so you just register your chili. And also through that link, you can pre-purchase your votes. So if we have an idea of how many chilies and how many votes, those things will really help us. We also have the tickets here today, so you can buy those today, cash, check, or PayPal. $1 per vote. So if you think you might sample a bunch of chilies, maybe that's, you know, at least how many votes you want to get. And we're going to have all those out in the social hall, the chilies, on October 1st, so right after the service. So the actual cook-off is in 2 weeks, but the deadline to register is in 1 week. Did I cover your question?
I wanted to find out who is designing the cool flyers that
That was me. Thanks.
They do look very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be
Well,
awesome.
that was another one of my announcements. We'll get into that.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to clarify, so it's $1 for every vote,
Yes.
not $1 for every.
Chili tasting.
Exactly. This is just a suggested donation, maybe. So we have something to give people who bring the chili. Yeah, and then we would, if you don't want to make a chili and enter this, we would also just welcome, you know, chili toppings and sides and that kind of thing too, like in a potluck kind of fashion. Oh, yeah, I didn't repeat any of these questions. So we had a question about who made the lovely flyers. That was Robin. We had a question about, like, what does the dollar ticket actually go towards? That's just voting. It's totally optional. You're welcome to come eat chili. You don't have to pay anything for that. But if you want to, you know, cast your vote, those are $1 each. So that we have, maybe we can make some money and give something out. What were the other questions that I didn't repeat? Okay. Is that all the chili questions?
I think so.
Okay. Yes.
Money.
Like. Oh.
We just have first, second.
Let us think about that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just overall best.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah. Cash money.
Half the money.
Yes. You can rig this so that you get half of your money back. We would welcome that.
But yeah, so chili cook-off, free to eat chili, free to input your own chili, $1 per vote though. And then based on all the money that we get on votes, we're gonna split that money in half. So half of that money is gonna go to MVUC, and then the other half is going to best overall chili. Whoever gets the most votes, at least as of now. So yeah, yes, Winnie. You are definitely welcome to bring other snacks. I was actually thinking of like bringing cinnamon rolls and like cooking them halfway through service so it like smells really good to like entice people to stay. Yeah, like bring cornbread, bring, you know, all the sides and salads and toppings and whatever you like to eat with your chilies. Yeah. Any more chili questions? A lot of discussion. Okay, moving on to another announcement. If you have questions, though, like I'll be here for a while, so you can ask Colleen or I any chili-based questions you may have or discussion. Like I'm open for I'm open to discuss chili if you'd like. Friday, October 20th at 7 p.m. We're going to have an indoor movie night in here. We're going to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's going to be super fun to commemorate the life and times of Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens. And then my other announcement, which was one more. We have an Instagram now. So take out your phones if you haven't already. It's MVUUC_BG is our Instagram now. And we have like 25 followers already, and we've only had it for a week, so not too bad. And then going back to snacks, there's like a giant box out there full of snacks that have like randomly appeared over the summer from Hogwarts and game nights and stuff. I think Lynn and some other people were out there earlier like organizing the snacks because I'm not really even sure what's in there, but it's mainly like chips and like granola bars and stuff like that. Please eat the snacks because they were just sitting in the kitchen in like a big plastic container. So please eat snacks. And that's my announcements for now, I think. Yes. Okay. Don't take them all. Just have some. Yes, eat snacks. All right, thanks.
Welcome, Shockets. What a treat to see you guys. Everybody in this group has unique talents, and I wanted to thank someone you may not know, Kayla, who sits way back in the corner. Wave your hand. She is a genius, and she has solved the challenge of the ages, which is how to remove all those annoying little pins stuck in the ceiling where candles used to hang. She's come up with a gizmo that works beautifully, and I'm sure she'll be happy to demonstrate it for you after the service.
So I know that you all have been wondering, where are the blood drives, right? I know. I took a little hiatus to get on a particular schedule. Blood drives will return, fear not, and you will get tired of seeing this face telling you to donate blood. Again, they're going to start in March, just FYI. So if you donate, plan accordingly so that you can donate at my drive. I'm aiming for the beginning of March, but just know that definitely in March, like the first Saturday in March is what I'm looking to do, and I'll let you know when I solidify that. And then it's going to be every 56 days. After that, 4 times, so it's basically going to be through the summer. So I would appreciate your blood and your volunteerism for the actual drives, because I need that too. And I'm considering the possibility of bringing back food, because we used to make food for it, which I know people are excited about, but they're less excited about the help part of that. And so while I appreciate the food donations, I also need the cleanup donation. So keep that in mind, is if I do go back to having food, I'll also want physical bodies to help clean up. And so I'll see you guys in March.
I just want to thank Steve and Lisa. I did not want to have to follow up that chili discussion, and a little bit of a buffer. Thank you. And after our closing song today, of course, we invite everyone to stay. Certainly, we have a lot to talk about and think about after today's service. So please do stay in person if you can for coffee hour. Our closing song today is hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Remember, if you sing, your neighbor is more likely to sing as well. Spirit of life, come unto me. Bring in my heart all the stirs of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. There we go.
Before you all go, just a big thank you to Ted, because we used a lot of songs this week we do not usually use. We've got a big old hymnal, and we use like 5 songs. So thank you, Ted, for taking us out of our comfort zone.